And now we are back in Parshat Behaalotecha, learning about the manna, or as it's really called, man. Man fell for the Jewish people for the 40 years that they were in the desert. And all that time it fell in the same way. For the troublemakers, the man fell far away from the camp, and it fell, and they had to grind it up and then make it into dough and do a lot of work on it. For the average Jew, the man fell right outside of the camp, and it was like dough, and they had to cook it. But for the righteous Jews, the Jews that really had trust and faith in the Creator of the universe, as the man fell right outside of their homes. And they didn't have to, they could eat it right away. So it's sort of a big paradox. I mean, the righteous people, if the manna would have fallen far away, they wouldn't care. Whatever God gave them is okay. On the other hand, the troublemaker people, the manna should have fallen for them right near them, not to make them trouble. I mean, as it is, there's just a thin thread connecting them to God. But God made the man fall far away, that they would realize that the reason that it's happening is because they don't have any trust and they want everything. They want an easy life. And so God is showing them that the people who don't care about having an easy life, but they want exactly the opposite, make it difficult on themselves by serving the Creator of the universe. And they're not interested, not in this world, not in themselves, what they're going to receive. They're only interested in giving. So those people, God gave them a lot of time to do good things. They didn't have to go out and look for their food. And the other people, they had to go walking outside, and then when they found the man, they had to grind it up, and then they made it into dough, and then they had to cook it, because their time wasn't worth that much anyway. I mean, they weren't doing much with their time. Anyway, whatever the logic behind it is, there were people that were bad people. And those people also ate the man. And the man had an effect on every single Jew. Even the evil people. It said that the Torah was given only to the people who ate the man, and the Torah was given to everybody. So even the bad people, even the evil people. So we see that it did have an effect on everyone. Is there anything else like that? The Rebbe said, yes, Shabbat. It says Shabbat has an automatic effect on every single Jew. Automatic effect on every single Jew. It does not have a total effect, but it has a slight effect. To the point where it says that an ignoramus or whatever will not lie on Shabbos. Even the biggest lying Jew, and there happen to be such things, will not lie on Shabbat. Or at least it's hard for him to lie on Shabbat. Because Shabbat has an effect. So in other words, it purifies a person to a certain degree. 5%, 2%, but it's better than nothing.
It's like the man, depending on how righteous you were, affected how much you got out of the man. Shabbos is the same.
Right, that's right. Yes, true. But the point the Rebbe wants to say, even if a person did not believe in the man, and he did not believe in what God said, and he didn't even care about it, but he got to eat. Even the most evil people in the world, they have to eat. So God provided them food. And where did he provide the food? Far out. So these people knew that the reason it was far out was because they were bad people. But it was worth it to them. To make the big change, too hard. I'd rather go walking outside and leave me alone. I'll go outside, I'll grind it. Don't tell me what to do. I'll grind it up, I'll walk far away. Right?
Smoke a cigarette.
Smoke a cigarette on the way. and Shabbat there was no. Didn't do what I want. Says the Rebbe, it doesn't make any difference whether it is a rebelling Jew, a complicit Jew, he complies with what God said, or if it is an excited Jew, that he wants to do what God wants even beforehand, as they all were benefited by the man, and the same thing also with Shabbat. And that is the same thing, says the Rebbe, the same thing is with learning Chassidut. Chassidut is what's called, the Torah in general is called bread. Bread, especially in the 5th chapter of the Tanya, you look at it's compared to bread very beautifully. and also other places. Lachmu v'lachmi, come eat my bread. The Torah is called bread. There's two types of bread: bread from the earth and bread from the heaven. Bread from the earth, there's a lot of what we call waste in it, waste products. You can get the wrong ideas. There's a lot of the Gemara. What's the whole of Gemara? The whole Gemara is sifting through what is going to be the final law. Right? Sometimes there's people that they make mistakes. They say you misquoted something. That's not the way it says. There's a lot of stories and seemingly not connected things in the Talmud Bavli. That's why Bavli is called Bavli, because it's Balal, it's Mabulbal. It's all confused and all this. It seems to be. That's what's called bread from the earth. Then there's bread from the heaven. Bread from the heaven is Chassidut. Learning Chassidut is like bread from the heaven, and it has an automatic effect on everybody that learns it. Even a person that wants nothing to do with Torah, with mitzvahs and everything, but it has an effect. How much of an effect does it have? Something. How do they call it? Sometimes negligible. In this case, it's not negligible. It is, appreciable. 1% of a change is much better than zero. So at least a person like that, a person that learns Chassidut is like eating the man. This is an interesting thing about the man, that it made everybody. There's another sikh about the Rebbe about this. It's later on, and was it Parshat Ki Tavo, I think? Parshat Ki Tavo. I have to look and see. Anyway, in the book of Deuteronomy, Devorim, there's a pasuk that says, Vaya'ancha vayarivecha v'yachilcha ataman, that God made you hungry and He tortured you by giving you the man to eat. So the Rebbe says, what type of a torture is there? I mean, the people were satisfied. It's true that the man did not really satisfy a person's hunger, but it took away it didn't satisfy his hunger, but it did take away hunger. A person would finish eating the man, no matter how much you ate, and you couldn't eat, there was only a certain same amount for everybody, is that it never really made a person like totally satisfied, but it made it that a person was never hungry. Which some people say that's healthy anyway. That's the way a person is supposed to be. Says, but even more, a person when he ate the man, he felt that this was bread that came totally from heaven. Miracle bread. He did absolutely nothing to earn this bread. Nothing whatsoever. It fell from heaven. And the evil people, so it fell in the form of grain or whatever, and he had to grind it up. But nevertheless, they felt it as a total miracle. If so, it's obvious from the man that God really does exist. And God even provides for you. Huh? He gives it to eat. There's no logical explanation. How did this man come? Was certainly not any natural process. There's no way, according to the science, you could explain how. You got it? How bread falls from heaven. So, and it didn't happen after that either.
The way it was provided, you knew every day.
Right.
Hashem was feeding.
So what that did was it tortured everybody. Why did it torture everybody? Because you could feel infinity in the finite bread that you ate. And this feeling of infinity made everybody crazy. Because you're not sure of yourself. All of a sudden you realize your whole life is just hanging by nothing. You're just being created all the time, and you're totally dependent on God's kindness, and He keeps giving the kindness. He doesn't stop. So that made everybody crazy. Everybody said, wow, I would like to come close. This God is so good. He's creating me and He's giving me life. I would like to come closer to Him. And no matter how much you try to come closer, there's an infinite amount to go because you owe Him everything you have. And so that's what it made people crazy. But that's a different sikha. Here we're talking about the good, positive effect that the man had on everyone. I think that's we're up to Dalet. Did we do Dalet?
We did Dalet. We're up to
Hey. Good, okay. So that's what Chassidut is, Chassidut Chabad. Chassidut is a totally different type of learning and a totally different subject that's being learned about than any other branch of the Torah. And the other branches of the Torah are talking about laws, they're talking about how to conduct your life, about something in the physical world. Then Kabbalah doesn't talk about the physical world. Kabbalah talks about spiritual worlds. Chassidut takes the ideas of Kabbalah and shows that these ideas are just aspects of God, not the essence of God. And Chassidut tells you that you can bring the essence of God, the Creator, into the physical creation. Not like learning Kabbalah that it takes you out of the creation. That's why, according to some, learning Kabbalah can be very dangerous, because you can learn Kabbalah and feel, if you're a bit successful, you can feel the importance of the spiritual worlds and the unimportance and the cheapness of the physical world. Spiritual world, is that what I said? Spiritual world becomes tremendously real and important. And the physical world and everything in the physical world, including like what people say to you, and if you have a job, and if you eat, and if you have a family, or you live in a house, you're wearing clothes, you're not wearing clothes, whatever you say, whatever you do. The physical world, not important. The main thing is these spiritual unities. So it could come to a point where a person can just, anything that comes up in his mind he says, and anything that comes up in his he does, that's insane. And he doesn't care what people say, he doesn't care what people do, or, if people laugh at him, or he goes, naked, or he does get married, he doesn't get married in the middle of the streets, and it makes no difference, because he is just connected to these upper unities, that's all that's really real anyway, and everybody else is just a bunch of fools.
Seems like Chassidus is sort of like the in-between point between the Kabbalah.
Chassidut embraces all of the aspects of Torah, and the main thing is positive action. And it was doing in this world what God wants, the way God wants.
Yeah.
And sometimes it requires tremendous self-sacrifice, like Abraham. Abraham was the example of the Chassid. He was the example. All he wanted to do was what God wants, and in order to make this world a better place, even if it didn't make any sense to him. How is it going to make a better world a better place if he takes his son and kills him? What's that going to do? But he says, listen, God's the creator. He knows what he's doing. That's the story of Abraham taking his son to sacrifice him is in the beginning of every religious prayer book. Right in the beginning. He is the example of the perfect Jew. And if you, according to any normal standards of any society or religion or philosophy or government or whatever, it's completely abnormal. Completely abnormal. Nobody does things that he only is going to lose from. No one does things, even people that God forbid commit suicide, right? They do it for some, they want to go into a better world, or they can't take this world, or something. Here Abraham was a totally normal person. He's going to take his son to kill him. We'll talk about that later. Let's go. Yesh Toanim, some people say, Sheyesh limanoa, that you should stop me'elu from those people. She'adayim ena bebechinas tzadikim et alimud penimiyut Torah. Those people, the ideas of Chassidut, they use a lot of terms of Kabbalah and things like that. That's only for tzadikim. Chova efo ladat. That's what some people say. Says the Rebbe, totally wrong. Shebezeh mashpia al adam lilmod penimiyut Torah machziro lamutav. If you encourage any person, even the person who is the opposite of a tzaddik, like these people who had to go far outside of the camp to get the man, it has an effect on them. If you take a Jew that's totally not relevant to Torah and mitzvahs, or so it seems, it doesn't want anything to do with it, learning with him Chassidut has a little bit of good influence, and that little bit of good influence could be the only good thing that he's really ever had in his life. He really feels there's a God that cares about him and creates him. Hu mevi oto besofo shel davar l'tshuva. In the end, it will bring a person to return to his Jewish senses. Ve'ilu hanhaga hafucha mizeh. But if you conduct yourself in an opposite way, that you withhold the learning of Chassidut from such a person, lo rak, not only she'enu misayet lo, you do not help him by keeping him in ignorance, la'alot ki im adarab, exactly the opposite. Goremet lo dechir rachman litzlan. It brings a person down. Alul v'chas v'shalom l'matzav nachod yoter. He can come to even a lower situation. There was a person who rejects Judaism, he doesn't want anything to do with Judaism. You give him an idea of Chassidut, he rejects it, doesn't want anything to do with it, but the truth of it starts to ring in his mind. Really the Jews are different. Really the Jews have a second soul. Something's going on there inside of me. I don't know what it is. Really the Torah is true. Really the Torah is God's will right now. Right? But inside is ringing something. Right? At least you let him, you gave him, an exposure to the truth. It's like, telling Christopher Columbus in Spain, there's a place called the New World over there in India. Where is it? Where is what? The New World. I don't know what you're talking about. You just said the New World. You just said, I never said a thing like that. But he heard it. And he starts to think, could there really be such a place like this New World? Maybe you go around the world, you go to India. That's also pretty good. Go to India, maybe you find a new route. Something. But he wanted to explore. What did he want to explore? Because he wanted to discover what there already is. That's what he wanted. That was the point. So it's the same thing. Chassidut is this voice saying there's a new world. Explore. Look into it. There's what to do. Don't just sit in your own personality and get locked up in your own comfort zone. Kasher yitba nidchazeh. If this person is demanded, God makes there is such a thing as judgment, right? So the person, before he dies, so God says, okay, let's see what you did with your life. I gave you a bundle. I gave you 80 years. What'd you do with it? He says, I sort of did what I wanted. There's 8 billion people that are doing the same thing. You didn't get the point. You're in the world for a purpose. You didn't get the point. Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. I watched a lot of good movies. Right? I know. Says when this person, when it comes to the time, and he's asked by God or the heavenly court, why are you so low? Why were you so far away from the truth? You're a Jew. He'll say, listen, Gershuni ayom mistapeach benachlat Hashem. There was this person who wanted to teach me Chassidut, and my rabbi said it's a forbidden thing. Azai yidrosh livdok heitev miu shedachu oto. Who is that big rabbi of yours that says that it's forbidden to learn Chassidut? Ha'imu hagon v'tov mimenu. That big rabbi, or that great person that told you it's forbidden to learn Chassidut, it could be he's a lot lower than you are. It could be that he's a bigger sinner than you are. Yoter again, a taviyah tiyeh shehamedache lo yimdod behetem lekochot hanidache el lefi kochotav hu. A person that convinces others that learning Chassidut is a bad thing, is that person will not be judged in the judgment. After when the person dies, so he's judged. What did he do with his life? God gave you all this life. What did you do with it? It was a free gift. What did you do with it? So a person said, what do you mean what I did? I ate, I slept, I made money. I don't know what you're talking about. I had a good time. Sometimes bad times, sometimes good times. I said, well, why didn't you serve God at all? So I don't know what you're talking about. That's not for me. Not for me. You never learned Chassidut? No. Why not? There was some big rabbi in Bnei Brak who said you shouldn't learn. So I just took his advice and I didn't learn. That's why I left Judaism. I left everything. Right? And I still believe it. It's a bad thing. Who told you this? This big rabbi. Right? It says, well, this big rabbi, he's going to be judged negatively. And he's not going to be judged like I'm going to judge you. You did all sorts of sins and bad things because you didn't know any better. You didn't know any better. So, I can't punish a person like that. But this guy over here that told you shouldn't learn Chassidut, right? He should have known better. He should have known better. He's learning the Torah. He knows how important the Torah is. This person will be judged very severely. There's just one more paragraph. Kafir like it's explained in the Chassidic on the sentence Ish Moshe Anav Ma'od Mikol Adam Asher Al Panei Adama. It's in this week's portion. Moses was the most humble person, more than any other man in the world. Moshe Rabbeinu thought inside of himself. He had all these tremendous qualities. How could he be the most humble person in the world? He thought, everything I have is a gift from God. And God if God would give this gift, l'adam acher, to somebody else, neshama kol gavoa, a soul that's so high like mine, v'siyata d'shmaya, and help him like he did to me, says like this, as Moshe Rabbeinu, he would be greater than me. Yesh lav here, shamonea mi Yehudi lilmod Torah, Torat Chaim, ubafrat imonea ba'ado litkarev penimiyat Torah. If he stops a person from learning Torah, and especially if someone stops somebody from learning the inside of the Torah, which is called the tree of life, Hari hu Rahman Litzlan, it's like he's killing somebody. Shemanatek oto midavekut be'elokim chayim. He separates himself from the living God. What's going on over here? What happens? Moses said, if God would give the talents that I have, the abilities that I have, the senses, the intellect, the qualities of leadership that I have, he would give it to everything I have is just a gift from God. So that makes him equal to everybody, no better. He said, but if God would give it to somebody else, is that person might have been better than me. He could have even been better than I am. And it was, how did Moses judge? But why was he more humble than anybody else? He was more humble than anyone else because he said, listen, I have tremendous powers. I have tremendous talents. God demands a lot from me. He demands a tremendous amount from me. These other people, they're simple people. If they do sins, God will forgive them like this, no problem. Because they don't know any better. But I do know better. A person that knows better is judged much more severely. Says the Rebbe, those people who convince others not to learn Chassidut, they'll be judged more severely than the other people who, because they did not learn the ideas of Chassidut, they lost their enthusiasm and they left, God forbid, the Torah and the commandments of God. Let's take a short break. 15 minutes, huh?